Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to well, I guess still can be truck talk, time with Jesus, and time to keep pushing on. Went and got my MRI done, and seen the doctor yesterday. Went the yeah. So we'll see. I go back next week, and the crazy thing about it is when I was doing the MRI, the first they did three different tests through that machine, and the first one was about 20 minutes long, and I started feeling a lot of pain then, and just the way that they had me propped up and you know padding and stuff under me and stuff like that, so they can get the images and stuff they wanted. But the crazy part about it is when they did the second one, it was supposed to be 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and I don't know how long it was, but they put my feet like on a pigeon toe like this with a band around it, and the way they had the padding and all that stuff, it got so bad that when time I grabbed the hold of that call button thing, that squeezy thing to alert them, the machine was all the noises and everything was done. So they just finished up right when I squeezed. And honestly, even if that test was still going on, I had to get off there. I literally went numb from about a little bit down to my feet, from like the hip areas and stuff, and it scared me a little bit, but all's good. Got the last test done, got it done, and here we are. So we'll see how everything goes and what it goes with. So let's continue on with the part two to this. And, you know, uh, I just want to throw this in there before I start digging into, the other stuff with what we were talking about there. A while back, somebody was asking me about, and I forget who it was, so I apologize, but somebody was asking me about, does the Bible speak anything about a believer marrying an unbeliever? And I said to them, yes, I believe it does. I just couldn't remember at the time where it was at. Like I say, you know, I can give you all the scriptures in the world, but are you really digging into the Bible? You might have missed over it too, because I know I did, and I couldn't remember where it was. So I got sitting down. We were doing puzzles and stuff, and I started flipping through there, and I found it. So that's why I want to start this video off of that before I forget. And but basically, I it's like a juggle, because you can't, and it's kind of like forgiveness. We can't start dating someone and you're a believer, knowing thinking that I'm going to pray. By all means, prayer will work, but it's the free will of the person. It's that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So that being said, first of all, if you're a believer, why would you even consider marrying an unbeliever? When I got married, I was an unbeliever. My first time, and so I didn't expect anything more than what I've already seen. I should have never went down avenues that I went down with that person, but unfortunately did, and there's consequences for everything we do. So and I don't put all the blame there, because I should have left. I mean, and that's the honest truth. I shouldn't have stuck it out, not even for kids' sakes, because I think your kids learn from that. But for the most part, kids shouldn't. I guess the better way to put it is, they're adults. They should know their ways of life too. It doesn't make it right. You can't correct a wrong by making something right that's wrong. If that makes sense to you, it does to me. But I don't. Just because it does to me doesn't mean it's necessarily going to. So let me give you the couple verses on this, and we'll go from there. Oh, you gotta love it when you mark stuff and the thing on stuff falls out. maybe not. Maybe I won't give you the first one. Because I don't know what I did with the paper. I really don't know where the paper is. Well, I'll find it. Trust me. Here we go. Huh. I'll tell you when I'll find it. Right after I'm done with this. That's when I'll find it. This is crazy. Well, anyways, I guess I'm not going to find it. I might have left it upstairs. Huh. I found the paper I was looking for the other day that I was going to read to you guys. Wow, that is just... That's something. I mean, really. Let me go to the front and look. You know, these are the times when I go, Satan, just get behind me. You know, this is one of the things too, you know, from switching from Bible to Bible. You know, I got the ones in the truck, got the ones here, and like every room I go in, I can grab something and look it up real quick if I need to. This is, wow. It's like I can't find anything. We'll get it, people. Just keep on the roller coaster. It might get a little bumpy here for a minute, but we'll get it. I'll just go back to the... We're getting there somewhere. I don't know where we're getting, but we're getting. Okay, let's just go on to the other one. All right, here we go. Because this one I have marked down, but the other one I tagged it so I can go back to it, but we'll find it. I promise. How many people's ready to turn the video off right now? Me. All right. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Now, that's even in fellowship and stuff. We shouldn't be in that unbeliever sitting there doing fellowship because what they believe in, it's not what we believe in. And I'm a good example of that because I was a negative person involved with their, you know, I was constantly, even like when I went to fortune tellers, you know, because everybody thought fortune tellers were the greatest thing, and I wouldn't tell these people anything. People's handing the money, and when I sat down, now they did get $20 out of me, but the lady did refund me to leave because it was at this Halloween party thing, and they hired this psychic person to come in there. The lady paid me my $20 if I would leave, so I took my $20 and left. I went back to the other side where the party and stuff was, and I was telling people in there, what a crock. I've never seen such a crock of nonsense in my life. And it's like, you know, her lighting the incense, and, all this stuff, and I'm like, staring at her like, and she goes, you got a bad vibe about you. The spirits are not welcoming you. I said, really? And I'm just doing like one of these numbers. Now, granted, people... think of the house that I was living in, and the spirits are not welcoming me. I don't know what spirit that you're speaking of, but them spirits welcomed me with open arms. Not bragging, by any means. But you see what I'm saying? What I brought at the table at that time did not equal to God. It equaled to Lucifer. So when you got a negativity thing and a bunch of positives, I could spread my negativity quicker and quick and quick and quick. You know, I didn't come in there and try to take over everybody. No. You know, you could go in there and just whisper things to people. Pay attention to the words I'm using. You can go in there and just whisper stuff over and over and over. And eventually, you're bringing people with you to this side of it. It's true. It happens all the time. You know, before you know it, if you're sitting with a bunch of negative entities, before you know it, if you walk in a room and they're talking about somebody, you're talking about them. Think about it. Think long and hard about that. But think about the whisper part even more. So let me go on. For what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness? And what communion has light with darkness? And what accord has Christ with Baal? Or what part has a believer with an unbeliever? And what agreement has the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God, and God has said, I will dwell in them and walk among them. So if God's going to dwell in us, and I'm an evil person, do you think God's really going to be dwelling inside of me? I mean, let's just really think about this. And this is where that unforgiveness and this forgiveness and all that stuff goes in there. You know, you're holding that grudge. Again, people, that grudge is, you're just holding it. You're making yourself miserable. I can tell you right now, no matter what I'd done to somebody back then, I didn't think about it. I didn't start thinking about that stuff until my long walk that I've been walking and going in there. You know, I don't look at pathways that I'm on and go, you know, it's rocky, you know, or there's glass and brokenness everywhere. Well, you know, when I'm walking along there and I'm thinking, how much of this did I create, you know, in this world? How much, you know, I was a person that I'd drive down the road and throw stuff right out the window. Didn't even care. Because I didn't care about law. I didn't care about men. I didn't care about women, children, anything. I had no desire to make anything beautiful. I've seen people back in the day when they had empty ashtrays out the window. I didn't care if they emptied the ashtray. I just didn't want to do it in front of me because that crap blew all back through my car. And at that time, I took really good care of my car. These days, I try to do the best I can by them, but you know, it's not my priority. I'd spend Sunday morning. I'd get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock, because I wouldn't run on Sundays in the mornings anyways, but I would run. I'd go to the gym and then I'd run at night. But I got up, got something to drink, and started polishing my car up, washing it, cleaning the engine, and cleaning the chrome, and going through it, and just spent hours and hours and hours listening to music, pissing the neighbors off, and didn't care. You know, I even had one neighbor say, can you please not just turn that crap on until at least 11 o'clock? And I said, no, it's my day off, the only day I get. I don't bother you on your day off, do I? He said, actually, you are right now. And I said, but you're off on Saturdays. I'm not. So, can't help it. What's he going to do? Call the cops? Call the cops. That's how I was about it. Call the cops. I don't care. I don't care. So that was 2 Corinthians, in case you were wondering. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Now, I read the stuff as I get it from the Lord. So I'm going back to 1 Corinthians now, because some people ask me, why do you go out of order like that? Why don't you just read it? Because that's not how he gives it to me. I read it as he gives it to me and how he gives it to me. Like I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians 11:3 and then go back to 7. Even though I'm passing 7 right now. But I'm obedient. I do what he asks, how he gives it, and that's how he wants me to give it. So that's how I do it. All right, now that we got all that straightened out. 1 Corinthians 11. 11:3. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. The head of a woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying and having his head covered dishonors his head. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. For that is one and the same as her head were shaved. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. And I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'd have to look it up. But if it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. I can't look it up because I got the phone. But anyways. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but woman is the glory of man. For man is not from woman, but woman from man. Nor was man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority over her head because of the angels. Neither is man independent of woman, nor woman independent of man in the Lord. For as woman came from man, even so. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. For a woman came from man, even so man also comes through woman. But all things are from God. Judged among yourselves, it is proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered. Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is dishonor to him? Judge among yourselves, is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Well, going off of what they're saying is, I would say, if you're by yourself praying to God, I would assume they would still have to have it covered. I don't see why they would not have it covered, because you're dishonoring God. So, I know you can the women can uncover themselves to their husbands, like even in the Middle Eastern states and stuff like that. I've been in plenty of apartment complex where you had Middle Easterns and stuff like that. And one lady I didn't know that was home, and she wasn't supposed to be home, and she said she wasn't going to be home, and it was okay to enter, but something happened to her car or something. The reason why she was still there. But she just got done with the shower and she got dressed and everything and was doing whatever she was doing. Never covered her hair. She actually forgot that I was coming. And I didn't even knock, people. And normally I do, but I didn't that day. And I walked in and she let out this awful scream. But then later on she covered herself and came out and she felt ashamed. But the thing of it is, she wasn't married. She was from the country she was from. She became a citizen of the United States, but she never married over there. She never done anything with man. Put it to you that way. And she escaped from all. She was telling me her history of her life, and let me tell you, unbelievable what some people go through. And here we stand in a country that is so judgmental and so, I don't care who's here. If it's the right way, then yes. But I believe anybody that's coming here to work, they should have to learn our language the same as we should have to learn them. But it's the opposite way around. I remember working at a company and they had a bunch of people from Mexico and Puerto Rico, and some of their language is even different, believe it or not. But it is, because some of the words, I had both parties on my crew once, and the one guy could speak both, and he says, no, if you say that in their language, it means this. And I said, oh my gosh, come on. It's gets kind of exhausting. But, I don't know. You guys tell me. I'll read you again. Judge among yourselves. So basically, judge with us. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Let's go back up to 3. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. The head of every woman is man. And the head of Christ is God. For every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. But every woman who prays or prophesies with their head uncovers dishonors her head. For that is one and the same as her head were shaved. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. It's Shorn. I guess shorn is how you'd pronounce it. But it's shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and the glory of God. But the woman is the glory of man. For if the man is not from woman, but woman from man, nor was man created for woman, but woman for man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. Neither is man independent or woman nor independent of man in the Lord. For as woman came from man, even so also comes through woman. But all things are from God. So, are we righteous in saying, I believe a woman then should be covered, even if she's praying to God? Maybe I'm taking this wrong. I don't know, but I'm just assuming that it should. If she's in prayer or she's praying in front of people, why would she not have to have her covered? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I do know about the difference between the two. You got the Jews that believe that Christ was just a prophet or a teacher. Then you get the Jews that believe that Christ was the Messiah. So I do know because, like I said in another video, I had a boss brought his nephew over, and he was straight from Israel. And I did a lot of talking with him. But his thing was, too, that he said in prayer, he would cover himself. So now I'm trying to think, but it says we don't have to because it dishonors him. Because we are basically the image of man, which is the image of Christ and the image of God. So, because I got a prayer shawl. It's whatever they call them in Israel and stuff, but I do have a prayer shawl. I do cover myself through prayer, but I don't if I'm in public. If that makes sense. If I'm by myself, or even if Darlene's with me, I'm still praying. I still have that covered, but I give it as respect. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm even doing that right now. After reading this, I shouldn't do it then. But then why did Jesus carry one, and why did the disciples cover themselves when they were praying? I don't know. It's a back and forth, but I'm going to keep that and go back over this some more because I actually want to. It's interesting, though. I don't know. I would still say that I believe a woman should have her hair covered when she's praying. And I believe, even to God, I believe that she probably should be doing the same thing. But then again, it says, talk among yourselves and agree on something. I mean, I don't know. See where we're going. All right. 1 Corinthians 7:3-4. But I always like reading from the beginning. Now concerning the things of which you wrote to me, is it good for a man not to touch a woman? Neither less because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render to his wife the affectionate due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time, when you may have given yourself to fasting and prayer and come together again. To that, Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. But I say this as conscious, not as a commandment, for I wish that all men were, this lighting is terrible, were even as I myself, but each one has his own gift from God, one in the manner and the other in that. But I say to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they remain even as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. And then there's a couple more verses outside of that I'm going to go on. Now to the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, a wife is not to depart from her husband, but even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled with her husband. And a husband not to divorce his wife, but to rest. I not the Lord say, if any brethren has a wife who does not believe, and she is willing to leave him, let him not divorce her. And a woman who has a husband who does not believe, if he is willing to live with her, let her not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Otherwise your children would be unclean. But how then are they holy? But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God has called us to peace. For how do you know, O wife, whether you will save your husband, or how do you know, O husband, whether you will save your wife? So you can go in a lot of different directions with this, and this is where a lot of people come with, you are not to divorce or not to do that, but the Bible clearly says if you caught them in the act of adultery or anything like that, you are able to divorce them. So it's kind of different when you're saying that they were caught in adultery, or that you know that they have done these very acts against you. But the simple thing is, this is where you go to. This is kind of what happened a while back, where people were debating whether or not you should be remarried or not, but it wasn't for the fact of this particular case. This case is saying if you married into a relationship, but it's saying as long as that person's with you, my wife, not being a Christian, but I am, she is sanctified. Just sanctified, people. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to heaven. It doesn't mean that because their thoughts and their actions, because you could get somebody that will bring plagues into your house and do everything. I mean, I've seen people that's been unequally yoked, and, people blaring the radio after you come home from church and hiding Bibles, or, just cussing up a storm, doing whatever, because that's the demons. Because the demons know that you're going to start praying, you're going to be connected to that prayer and all that stuff. So you have to look at it and go, they're talking about an ungodly person here that's not full of God, So I was ungodly. The person I was married to was ungodly. I mean, I was more, it's still in the satanic, than anything else. I was still drinking, partying, doing whatever, it didn't really matter. But The only thing I didn't do is run around sleeping around either. I didn't do none of that. So that's where you look at the case, the equations of things when people falsely accuse you of stuff, and you go, well, you know, prove me wrong. Where did I do any of this stuff? And there's no judgment of it because they can't find it. They assume things, and assuming is the stupidest thing we can ever do. But anyways, so you think about that. So that's, I mean, right there's a that pretty much settles why you shouldn't marry an unbeliever, because you're sure not going to go in there and try to justify them going to heaven or them going, and that's nonsense if you literally think that's going to happen, because it's not going to happen, because they're going to be spending most of their time trying to make your life miserable because you're going. And then how many times have you started doing this? And hold on one second. How many times have you started dating somebody and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to change this person? How'd that work out for you? Not too good. I can't ever see anything. I mean, it can change if the person's willing to give themselves to God. I got one more, and then when I find that other one, this one's in Hosanna 2:16 through 20. There, I'm just going to start at 14. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, will bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfort to her. I will give her the vineyards from there, in the valley of the anchor, as a door of hope. She shall sing there as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up from the land of Egypt. And it shall be in that day, says the Lord, that you call me my husband, and no longer call me my master. For I will take from her mouth the names of the bow, and they shall be remembered by their name no more. In that day I will make a covenant for them, for the beasts of the field, and the birds of the air, and with the creeping things of the ground, bow, like BOW, and the sword of battle I shall shatter from the earth, to make them lie down safely. I will bethrone you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you to me in righteousness and justice, and in loving kindness and mercy. So, okay. Well, let's go up to the beginning. Therefore, behold, I will allure her. Oh, I already read that. Let's go up a little bit more. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees of what she has said. These are the wages that my lovers have given me. So I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat from them, and I will punish her. So if we go up a little bit more, now let's go up here. Therefore I will return and take away my grain in this time, and my new wine in its seasons, and take back my wool, my linen, given to cover her nakedness. Now I shall uncover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and no one shall deliver her from my hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbath, all her appointed feast. So what do you guys think? You go into it. I was just reading this other verse. Well, so anyways, so now you can go into looking at what this example is. You know, when it's speaking of lovers, that's a person that we know that will be married and hop from place to place to place, and sleeping with multi men, and going through all of this, basically just taking from each man whatever they can get. And you could go off the Jezebel, you can go off of Lilai, you could go. I mean, there's a couple more demons that you can bring through that equation that that just does. It's just horrifying thinking that these simple acts take place, but there's no consequence. See, and now this, what the Lord starts saying in the end of this, the man can go into prayer, go into the sense of, that he's forgiving and he's bringing this woman back to his life. Does it equal up to that? I'm a firm believer. I don't really, in obviously staying through a marriage of, I think it was, the whole time I was with her, I think it was like 23, 24 years. And back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But there was a lot of craziness all through it. But, I never seen a day where I went, there was not an end to this. Because I was always planning. I was always strategizing and thinking, what's going to be the best way? Well, and then that's when I said, as soon as the kids are old enough to decide, because I wasn't going to fight through courts, and surely I wasn't going to pay money for a babysitter or somebody to have to be there until I got home, because half the time I didn't get home until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So can you imagine that bill? I mean, that'd be expensive. So in paying the child support and all the nonsense that I did, I mean, should I have paid all the extra stuff? I mean, that's a debate that somebody could debate left and right. No, if you're paying child support, I wouldn't have done any of it. But then the kids suffer. So if the kids' sufferings, I mean, does that justify my actions? I mean, who does that say that I am as a person? That I let my kids suffer because of a foolish person that's going out spending money on boyfriends and all that kind of stuff. And you think about some of the people that, I think back of some of the people that she was with, clueless. I was clueless. I'm thinking, my gosh, these people don't have jobs or anything else. And then it dawned on me, hey, idiot, it's your paycheck that's funding these guys. And it truly was. Because it was direct deposit and everything else. The only time that changed is when I changed my direct deposit. And I took back control. And at that point, I didn't want to hear nothing from her. I mean, there people that she knew was calling and trying to borrow money and stuff like that. And you just sit there and go, no. I mean, what are you people thinking? But then you got to go back to thinking with your own logic, you can't change something. But now you see where the forgiveness comes in, and you got to forgive all this stuff. Because, I had literally had to go in front of the Lord and ask for forgiveness for myself, for allowing that nonsense to go on, for allowing to be a part of that. But for whatever reason, it made me stronger. It made me who I am today. And that person, I don't know, man, I buried that person a long time ago. I buried that person from people that constantly just used and abused me. It's funny how people can use you and forget all the things you've done, but then are quick to come with this nonsense and say, you cost me, or you owe me, or you've done. And it's amazing how much people forget the things that you have done. It's amazing how fast people turn their backs on you. So there you go. There's a few scriptures on that. I mean, again, you can agree or disagree. I mean, there's so many people out here right now, prophesying and doing stuff, but then I look at it going, are they truly doing it for the Lord? Or are they doing it for their own self profit and trying to profit off of what? Because there's some channels you get on where you see people, they're fixing their hair and they're constant. I mean, sometimes I'm fluffing stuff up or whatever, and I'm not coming against that, but I'm just saying it's constant. I mean, you guys have watched these videos. If you've been on these videos long enough, You have seen me when I just crawled back into the truck and took my hat off, and you see me with times with hats on. I mean, look at me now. I mean, I got an old shirt on, and I don't care. It's not about my what I look like. I mean, if people are coming on there for that, then I say go to the eye doctors and get a checkup. But you have to look at it and go. It should tell you that I'm more focused on what God is trying to tell people than there. We were talking about this morning, Darlene and I, sitting there talking about the prophetic stuff that I've talked about years back that people are talking about today. And it doesn't make me any better than anybody else, but it just shows you sometimes God's timing, shows you God's time, because nobody was accepting this stuff. I mean, I remember talking about the RFID chip and stuff years ago, and then this stuff just starts coming out within the last couple of years, and you look at it, and I also spoke about the time that we will be forced to remain in our homes because they will do this. I also talked about drones being flown. I've talked about underground tunnels that goes from California, goes up to Washington D.C. There's underground tunnels that go through there. Look at this Diddy case. I mean, he had tunnels that went from there to that Rihanna, or how you pronounce her name's house, under her bed. I mean, there was tunnels that went from his house to Hugh Hefner's house. I mean, people, do you not see a problem here? Something feels like something's crawling on me. Spiders, ew. But think about it. We're the ones that's got to look at our lives. And we got to look at where we're at. And you go into that examination of yourself, and you go into that. It's kind of like when you have to fill out a paper describing yourself and your strong points, your weak points. I mean, are you really filling that out truthfully? Because to me, that's the hardest thing in the world. I can fill out somebody else's, but when I have to fill out mine, I just think it's hard, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, if I mark low numbers, I'm never going to get this job. But if I mark all high numbers, they might think that I'm over conceited or overconfident or whatever, and then you don't end up to that expectation of what they thought that you should be at because of your answers. Now, do they look at you at a different light than what you truly were? I mean, you think about this, So, to examine yourself is a lot like that. It's like making that 1 through 10, in each problem in your life. Am I judgmental? Where would I be? Now, 10 being terrible, 1 being good. I'm kind of doing it in the opposite direction. 1 being good, 10 being horrible. Where would you see that? Today, well, years back, I would say a 10. I didn't care. I judged everybody. And who was I to judge people? Because, look at what they're wearing. Look at that. Look at this. And look at me. I mean, today, I would have to put myself about a 4 or 5. Sometimes I'm still in that judgmental stage, and I shouldn't be. And I'm working on that. I'm working very hard on that. I'm working to, when I do start it, I'm correcting myself and asking Jesus to correct it. When I feel like I shouldn't be doing something and I do it, and then after I do it, I feel horrible, then I'm asking Jesus again. And sometimes it's the same dang on thing over and over and over, and you think, my gosh, I'm never going to do this again. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stop this, and I go right back into it again. And I'm asking for forgiveness again. And this is the things I talk about on these videos. And I'm telling you not to do it, but I'm telling you, I'd slip up too. But I hear the Lord saying, you're forgiven. But go and do this no more. And I said, Lord, I'm trying, but help me. Help me be stronger in this. Take out any distractions, anything away from me. Take it away from me. Make it not work. Whatever you have to do, but do it, please. I give you my free will. So I'm not cast it all on the Lord, then it's His fault that I'm having thoughts, or I'm doing whatever that I shouldn't be doing. Whatever that might be in the moment. You got to remember, if you feel like you're doing something, you shouldn't be doing it, but you're kind of doing it anyways. It could be pure pressure, it could be anything. A friend's asking you or whatever. That's still a sin because you're feeling you shouldn't be doing it. Well, if you're feeling it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. We got to live strong in the Lord. We got to live that example. We got to pick up our cross and follow Him daily. We got to pick up where Jesus left off, people. To walk in His shoes, that's a powerful step. See, when you were born, God has created you in the mother's womb. He plucked you out of heaven. He plucked you and formed you into your mother's womb. Formed you. Boom. See what I'm saying? You are created in God. Through God. God gives you breath. So why is it so hard to be disciplined? Because of this world we live in. We fall short sometimes. I remember the times when I quit drinking and all of a sudden I'd get around the wrong people and I'd start drinking, or people would make me mad. Or it was a hot day and my old routines come in. I'm out mowing my own lawn and boom, and I'm drinking something, and then before you know it, half the night's gone and I'm starting to feel a little tipsy. And it took a lot back then. Again, not bragging because it's stupid. I should have had alcohol poisoning over and over and over. I mean, you think about how much I drank in a night. Let's just go down the pathway here. All day during work, even working outside, but I sweat a lot of it out, and a lot of it could have been that, but it could have dehydrated me, but I did drink a lot of water. And so you're taking the back and forth. I mean, I would drink 3/5 of vodka through the day. But I would start off in the morning before I even got to work, and I'd drink about 3 or 4 beers. And I'm talking in the bottles. And then I'd go to work. After work, we would drink some, and then I'd drink easily probably a 6-pack before I even left work. I'm getting the machines off and all that stuff and doing that. And then I would go hang out with somebody, hang out with people that I knew or whatever, or sometimes I'd be by myself, and I'd still drink about anywhere from a case to a case and a half. If I was around people, you're looking at 2.5 cases, and I'd drink a 5th of Jack. You tell me that I should not have had alcohol poisoning. I'm telling you, people, it was 7 days a week, 365 days, 366 in leap year. I didn't care. But you look at what I'm doing. I didn't do, I'm hurting when I'm sitting there saying I'm not hurting anybody but myself, because nobody cared for me, nobody cared about me. But you look at it, God did, because He sent Jesus, and Jesus loved me. So what sins is right? None. Judgment. Forgiveness. I mean, is forgiveness a sin? Could be. Is it unforgivable sin? No. The only unforgivable sin is blasphemy against the Spirit. But it doesn't give you the license to go out and do everything else because you can repent. That's not what this is about. It's not. To examine yourself is a very difficult thing. Start making that thing. Everything you're displeased with about your life. And I don't care if you think your nose crooked. Heck, look at my nose. If I look at you straight in there, it's so dang on crooked from being snapped hair, snapped all like. That's why sometimes you'll see me going like this, because I'm trying to straighten my nose so I can breathe. But it's people's like, oh, I don't see the crookedness. Well, you're not looking good enough. I've been smacked so many times in my nose. It's unbelievable. But it's not even about that. But I'm saying if that's something that's not necessarily a sin, but if you're complaining about yourself, you're saying God isn't right. Well, God didn't bust my nose, but God allowed it to be like this as a reminder of where I was. That's just mine. I have all kinds of scars on my body. I got all kinds of scars in my heart. But God allows me to carry that for reminders. It reminds me of where I came from. It reminds me where I don't want to go back to. So if all that is in the case of what's going on in life, then what's wrong and what's right. What's wrong is the very things that your thoughts, your actions, whatever it was, or anything like that. Now, if you go back in the days when I told you guys, about the times getting on computers and misspelling something, and then it led me into the dark web of porn. Uh, it opened my eyes in different directions. Not so much of, I wasn't some sicko that sat there and did things to myself by watching this stuff or looking at pictures or anything like that. It was nothing like that. But what I'm saying is it opened my eyes to start lusting at women. And it grew more and more. So you see how something simple turned into something out of control. And then I started blaming, well, hey, if my wife's doing this stuff, why can't I do this stuff? There are two wrongs. If she's right, then I'm right. Because, I always got accused of, doing this stuff. And then the devil started talking to me, the devil that was walking with me in that particular sin. Now remember, I will say devils when a devil is under that legion of whatever that sin is. And so, I'm justifying, and he's justifying right back to me. There's no difference. If they're accusing you of it, you might as well do it. And then he quoted the scripture to me. If you already have the thought and the lust of it, you're already guilty of it. So even me having an idea of or thinking about this, I'm guilty of the act. So if I'm guilty of the act, then I'm thinking, well, why not do it? And then when reality came, and there's a couple times that things presented itself, and you're in the moment looking, going, I could get away with this. Even if I do, even if somebody found out, why would I care? But then I sat there and I went, this ain't me. So, where do you go? What's next? Examination. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about hardened hearts. We talked about what people have done to you. You got to forgive them, man. You have to let these burdens go. You got to watch the people you're around. I just read scriptures on this. You got to watch that unlawlessness of these people. They don't care. You're the one's going to be miserable. You're the one's going to be in pain. You're the one's going to be in the suffering that you don't have to be in. Why hold a grudge? Why hold these things? Why live the eye for the eye and the tooth for the tooth when the Bible clearly says we shouldn't do that? Examine yourself, because you have that plank in your eye when they got a splinter, the Lord says. I'm just saying. It's true. It's in the Bible. Trust me, I went all through this Bible. I went through it many times trying to find a voided word. I tested God on it. And you're not supposed to. It says the only thing we should test God on is tithing. And he will multiply. He will use you, and he will provide back to you. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get money. You could get somebody could walk up and you're in need of a car and just give you a car. Now, I'm not saying go in the tithe to see what God's going to do. I'm not saying that. But if you tithing, what is tithing? Some people say 10%. Well, if you go through the Bible and you look at what Paul says, I say give with a caring heart. Pray about it. Darlene was just talking about prayer to, the tithing today. And I'm not going to tell you the amount that we're tithing, but it's the first thing that comes to me. Used to be, I'd go look at that. I mean, when we first started tithing, and I'm looking at these tithing checks going, oh my gosh. There was a time that she handed me a check, and I always fold it when I throw it in the offering plate. It's already folded. Let me button this so I don't keep feeling like... But, and I had another folded check. Well, the one that had the tithing, I folded it again so I would know which one to pull out of my top pocket. Now, nobody would have noticed, but then I'm thinking, well, if I throw that in there, then whoever's looking at the tithing is going to be going, well, they didn't write nothing on this. Now I got to call them. Well, now I'm in trouble. and it's like one of them. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she does the finances and the check skips. Now she's going to be trying to figure out where this check is and what's wrong with the check. So then you're going to come up with a story for that or be truthful. But at that point, you're already trying to cover your tracks. It's kind of like King David, wanting his top man's wife because he lusted after her because he saw her naked on the and desired her, and then got her pregnant, and then brought him back, the husband, and offered for him to go stay with his wife. So knowingly what he would do with his wife, and then that would take the pregnancy and cover up for the pregnancy. Win-win. But when he refused because he said his men are out there and he would not feel right, David had him killed. You see the long web of garbage that we create just by not telling the truth. If you did it, why are you ashamed of it? If you're ashamed of it, you probably should have never done it. That's just my opinion of it. But you look how God can forgive that. You look at hatred and you look at how much stuff that we do that is God hated by. Is he starting to hate us? No. He's disappointed. But we can hate. Isn't that something? God should be spewing hate at me right now for all the things that I've done. We can walk any lifestyle we want. We can do whatever we want. We have that free will. And eventually, people, that's going to come to a halt too. And I know people don't want to hear about it, but, Christ is coming. And if you're not ready, you're going to be left here. And I speak it, and I spoke it up plenty of times on these videos. If you're not ready, most likely you are going to find yourself walking straight into hell. Because you're not going to be able to take what's coming. And I'm sorry, you're not. You're going to take that mark on your forehead or on your right hand quick so you could work, so you can eat, so you can do all those things, because they're going to make examples. You look at, if you think, Nelson, I think you're a little wrong on this, but am I? Because they beat it, the Lord, so bad, over 700, I think it's 20 or 30 times, and beat him beyond recognition, then made him carry the whole cross, put him front and center. The two thieves were here and Jesus was here. So if you got a thief here and Jesus was still in the front. So if I turn this, look how far apart this is. Because Lucifer wanted to make an example of him. So you tell me, where am I wrong? It's up to you to decide where you're at in your walk, what you're doing with your life, and what's important in your life. Is it something that God would find good in you, what you're doing? I don't know. I don't have all the answers sometimes myself, but I seek the answers through prayer. And I seek God to give me the wisdom. I pray daily. Give me your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding of the prophecy and the things to come. Let me speak accordingly of these plans and purposes, whether I understand it or don't remember it or do, but let it be done to glorify you, and let it be glorified through your Son that leads to you. And let me do this and not worry about what man shall say to me or about me in any event. So whatever I walk through and whatever I do in the day, I must know that this is where God has got me. And whatever I'm doing, whether I understand it or don't remember it or do, I can't say it enough. I'm not excusing myself from anything, but I pray this daily. I pray this when I'm going in a store. I pray this when I'm going somewhere or to an event. Let me do nothing unless it's your plan, purpose, and reason. I've been having some crazy dreams lately, and honestly, some dreams it's like I can't wake up, and it's like I'm waking up in my dreams, and I'm waking up and still see myself sleeping, but I'm awake. And those are the ones that some people may call the out of body, or visions compared to dreams, and whatever it is. you know, you just got to understand that there is things coming that is going to be very painful to walk through, very painful to live in. And if you think you're going to be able to repent at the end, well, we've had that conversation too. Good luck with that. You go on thinking that. What I'm sure you're not going to have an opportunity, because Satan is not stupid. What if you walk out and slip on ice right now, the same as I did? What if my time was done when my head hit the side of that trailer when I hit the ground? What if? What if I would have passed away? Would I have been ready? Be honest, because of the load they gave me that day, I was so mad that it was like ridiculous that I just ran all the way through where I did, and because prior 2 weeks I wasn't getting home right, because they're telling you should do this and this, and then when you do, you get attitudes. It's not my fault. I'm hired to deliver freight, and that's what I do. When I was doing apartment maintenance, then that's what I did. I went in there, fixed stuff, or I went in there, made somebody move out, and made it ready for the next. But either way, I did it the best I could do it every day. And the Bible says, give 100%. We're supposed to give our all each day and not complain, but be grateful. Today I am grateful. I'm grateful for whatever God's doing with me or through me or around me, and I give God full authority over me to change my life and do whatever He wills with me. It's truthful. And that's it. That's exactly what I pray all the time. Let your will be done. You move me and do what you need to do in me. So, there's some food for thoughts, and I don't know if how the other video came out, but I will go on there sometime today, and I've been on the older videos lately, comment and stuff, so I'm working my way up there. I still got a few emails to get back to, and I haven't really been doing much of any of it, to be honest with you people. A lot's changed to me in this last few weeks, and a lot of things that I've been asking Jesus to change in my life, and I'm just, there's times you go through things and stuff that you hear that that you just go, well, it's not true. Not all the time. There is times that I may say something the wrong way or think whatever it may be, but then there's times that I hear what I hear that people speak, and they're telling me no, and I'm like, after a while, man, my brain just can't even comprehend this stuff anymore, and I'm like, I just don't, and I hate to say it like this, but I just lose that desire for things in life at times. I'm just like, I feel like I'm just chasing a hamster wheel sometimes. But this dream, it's still that New York dream. It's still the same thing, the concept of going into the deserts and all that stuff like that. But you ever have a dream that you wake up and it's so real, like you find yourself, like I had a dream once that somebody handed me stacks of wrapped $100 bills, so I couldn't even tell you how much was there, but I know it took a lot to hold it. I mean, I was holding the stacks like this and keeping it together. So you're looking at however many was in a bundle. There was 8 bundles. There was 4 in one and 4 in the other. And I just grabbed them out of their hands and I held it like that. And I'm looking at this going, oh my gosh, this is a lot of money. And then when I woke up, I still had my hands like this, like holding it and going, wow. And I'm looking all around for it. That's how real it was. I don't know if anybody has ever had a dream like that. But the crazy thing is, and it's some things. It's like Darlene always said when we first got together. And she still says it today. You should have been a detective. And I mean, because I can look at things like Clue and stuff. When I used to play Clue, I'd listen to everything. I watched Columbo, and I'd watch that, and even with the O.J. Simpson trial, I'm hearing stuff out of there, and I said, man, they messed up. And there's so many things, like when people move stuff on a shelf or move stuff around, it doesn't take me long to figure it out. And maybe I always wanted to be a detective. Maybe that was God, that was my calling, but I don't know. But he's definitely got a different calling now. So that's what I've been praying for. I've been praying that God leads me to my next chapter. And anybody that's watching these videos, if you want to pray that with me, then I would deeply appreciate it. If God gives you an answer to it, leave me a comment. Hey, I tell people all the time, here's my email, NWROBINS, 1B, not 2 B's, because of the hacking, so I'll give it to you again. NWROBINS777 at hotmail.com. Now, granted, it might take me a little bit of time to get to that too, but I will do it. But you can always email me, and I will get back to you and talk to you just same as I answer stuff on here, and just give me your thoughts on it. I'm curious to see what people, good solid Christians that pray about stuff, and because there's a couple things that I feel, but I don't know if it's exactly what I think. At times, it's not that I question God, because I'd never question God. If I feel like God's telling me to go do something, I'm going to do it. And the reason why I know He's doing it, because I feel like I want to throw up. And it gets so bad, that pressure and that feeling of throwing up, that until I do it, it doesn't stop. As soon as I do it, it's like instant, it stops. But the weird thing is, I'm bringing all that up because that I don't know why, that some things, it's almost like I know this person, but I don't know that person. That person with the brown hair that I talk about all the time. It's weird. It's the most weirdest thing, but it's like, what is the connection between A and B? And when I figure that out, that's where the detective comes in. Because that person that is there, they end up, when I go back to get more people, they kind of take over that spot until I'm back. And we communicate back and forth with these crazy looking radio things, and it's just weird, It's like, but the weird thing is, it's like, even in these dreams, even in the visions, when it's a vision and stuff like that, the amazing part about it is it's like I know this person, and that's like a needle in a haystack when it comes to a person with brownish color hair, but I mean, even to the height and everything else, but you go, what if? I don't know. But why does it bother me so much? Because, and I've asked God, take this from me. I mean, why should I spend a lot of time on something that doesn't make any sense? But there's a reason for it. Whatever the reason is, I don't know. But it's interesting. I mean, life is interesting. The more you're with God and the walking with God, the more exciting your life gets. I'll give you that. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up, and I'm going to start reading some more on the tablets. I actually got them all pulled out and stuff, and I didn't realize, oh my gosh, I get that overwhelming. But I'll probably read some more, and then I'm going to do the hell video and leave it on the table. And I think it's time for it. And then I'm going to do some of the things that the Lord's been giving me and prophesy on these things. A lot of it's already come, but I see some of the stuff that's coming in this near future. And I'll just give you a little bit of hints of it. It has to do with groceries. It has to do with wages. It has to do with an attempt to lock us down. I believe that we might go into war here soon, even on these soils, and I believe that's why we have all these Middle Easterns and all these people that were being allowed to cross over the borders and stuff freely. I believe that's why the Canada, whatever heck he was over Canada, I believe that's why he stepped down, because he knew he was guilty and allowing this, and he didn't want to take the heat for it. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am wrong. I believe Christ is coming right before this stuff. He's coming soon, And I would say that, and I've spoken a while back, and I'll speak it again, I believe Donald Trump's going to be our last elected in president. If the world tarries and God tarries on with that, past that, I believe it's going to be an appointed president. And I believe that the people will be called upright and to him before that happens. That's just my thoughts. That's just how I feel on some of the stuff that I see. And if that's the case, then I guess if I'm still here going through these visions that I have, then I guess I'll have the answers to all my questions. But pray about the job thing for me. Like I said, email me or shoot me a comment on here, and I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see what anybody else in prayer receives, that what God tells them, and see if it matches what I think also. So that being said, God bless you guys. Love you. And I mean it. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying with the channel. Thank you for staying on the roller coaster. And thank you for some of you being so devoted to the roller coaster that, and again, your comments and your guys' respect and your love back. And, I've said it before in videos, but you guys are the best group ever. You're just a part of this as much as I'm a part of yours. Even though I might not ever see you or know you, I could walk past you. It is what it is. I mean, you'll probably recognize me. Matter of fact, it's like sometimes I see people just like staring at me. And one time I got up and used the restroom, and I heard the person even say, well, I don't think that's him. If you ever come across that situation, I mean, it's not hard to look at this face and remember this face. So if you run across me, stop me. I'm not a bad person. I mean, I'll talk to you. Now, if my food's coming to the table, I might tell you, hey, let me get back to you, because I love to eat. That's why I'm about 500 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. I've actually lost some weight. The crazy thing is, I'm out of the truck and I lose weight. Of course, I don't have much of an appetite either. It's weird. I mean, I literally eat to have energy. I'm telling you, I probably can go 4 or 5 days without even eating. I'm more thirsty than anything else. Maybe that's why I don't feel, because I'm filling up on water and cherry Zero Dr. Pepper. I don't know. Either way, doesn't really matter. Get ready for the next set of stuff coming, guys.